Hello, and welcome to your spiritual journey. Right now, your soul is speaking to you. I'm Jenny Israel, and I'm a medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. It is my mission to help you learn the tools you need to heal your life and discover your deeper purpose. In each episode, I will allow Spirit to speak through me, and we will explore energy forecasting, teach you how to raise your vibration for overall wellness, increase your emotional intelligence to open up joy in your life, and guide you into spiritual evolution using topics such as energy healing, emotion code, sacred geometry, numerology, tarot, crystals, channeling, and much more. Take a deep inhale, let it out, and listen to your soul speak to you.
Shuffling my card deck. In my morning meditations for myself, I always pull a couple of cards, but Spirit's kind of been yelling a message in particular in my head. I don't know, it started yesterday, and so I thought that maybe I'd share that message with you today, but do a couple of my card pulls around this thought as well. Oh, this is just so perfect. I love it when that happens. I mean, when does it not, though, right? It's all seems to be in divine plan always. So I'll share the thought with you first, and then I'll share the cards that popped up around this. So, one of the things that's been a big theme, going right into 2021 and knowing that this past December, the Great Conjunction, we were moving into what we've all been considering the beginning of the Age of Aquarius. And I want to just kind of reiterate a really important part of this that I think is potentially kind of getting lost inside of our exploration of this new way of being. And I touched on this on Saturday when I popped on to do that real quick message on Saturday morning. And I did mention the difference between separation and detachment. And in being very three-dimensional beings, and in a three-dimensional world that was built on density and built on contrast, separation is a natural state of mind because we perceive ourselves as separate from one another. And so what we're being challenged to do is we move more towards what's being called unity consciousness, which is more of a fifth dimensional way of being. This is where we start to shed the illusion of separateness, meaning that even though we perceive ourselves as separate beings, that there is a commonality. Now, I'm going to use the word Namaste because this is a word that is used so frequently in our culture now, and I don't know if people really know what that means. They're using it, but do they really understand what Namaste means? And the meaning of that is that the soul within me, the God within me, the light within me sees that same thing inside of you. I am me and you are you, but we're made of the same stuff. But that doesn't change the fact that I am me and you are you, right? That's one of the gifts of being able to be in this incarnation, is to experience ourselves inside of this reality that allows us to have contrast, where we can have dark and light. We can have heavy and light. We can, there's all of these things that create the richness of our experience because we're not just running along at all the time. We get to do this. And it's the roller coaster ride that I was talking about, when we were discussing the energy of March. There is exhilaration and excitement and a little bit of the unexpected unknown, and then a little bit of a burst of fear, or, these are all divinely designed inside of our human experience. And so I think inside of the natural way that humans shift, we tend to really swing from one extreme to another in the attempt to try to balance things out. And so we do see a lot of that going on right now inside of the division and the real extreme separateness that we've been driven into as we're attempting to try to right the ship. A lot of these movements that are happening were all based on really good intention, right? It was like we recognized a population, or we recognized a group that was not being seen as other people that have rights or beliefs. It was, something new or something different that we hadn't looked at yet. And so these movements came about in order to educate and bring visibility to people that perhaps were not being seen. And when I say seen, I mean the namaste. I see you. You are a human. You have needs. You are not being treated fairly. There's an imbalance here, right? So all these things are built on the best intentions, but inside of human nature as well, we tend to move into this place of extreme, which then brings us into a power struggle. Okay. And so this is where we're actually internally having the push and pull, the internal struggle, this defensiveness, if you will, this thing that rises up inside of us that says, I need to protect my beliefs. I need to protect my sovereignty. And the reason why we get all charged up like that is because currently in our existence, this is what we've been taught we have to do, because there are other people out there that have different opinions, different beliefs, different ways of seeing things. And we have built this belief system around the fact that if I am different from you, then you're going to try to force me to be like you, or you're going to take my sovereignty. And so I need to fight for it, right? And so this is part of the separation. The old way of being, the old way of seeing things inside of separateness, where we are going into unity. And this is the crux of the message that what Spirit was bringing through. It is not meant to be unity for the sake of merging into one another and becoming one amalgamous being. It's not that. We are still individuals having individual experiences through our own lenses of truth and through creative thought, which is actually one of the cards that came out of my my deck. This is one of my new decks that I'm loving, called the Science of the Mind. It's a bunch of quotes from Ernest Holmes. And so this card, creative thought, and notice the colors that have been placed on this card. It's the crown chakra. And it says, we must say that all thought is creative according to the nature, impulse, emotion, and or convictions behind the thought. So this is where the thought that's coming from us does become our truth. It becomes unique to us because all of the evidence that we've gathered up until that point creates a truth for us. And then we stand inside that truth, for better, for worse. But this is what creates an independent thought. Now, the real independent thought is where we can actually exist as an independent thinker inside of our own sovereignty as an individual, but understand that we are unified in that fact that I have a truth and I'm having an individual experience. You have truth and you're having an individual experience. And this should be celebrated because it brings so much color and expansion to our experience. And this is where we're going. it doesn't mean that we should just abandon our identity and abandon all of our beliefs, because now there's this new thing rising up that says, well, these people, this particular group hasn't been recognized, so we should release all of our identity to lift them up. No, that just causes a new problem. It doesn't take us in the right direction. And so, this is the place where we're trying to figure it out, right? It's not that there is anything that is wrong inside of the original thought, right? It's like with all of the gender issues that we have going on right now, and trying to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to be who they are and express what that is, and somehow try to make our social environments and culture mirror that to create a safe space. But in the meantime of trying to create a safe space for these new groups that are moving forward, we're taking the safety away from pre-existing groups. So I hope everybody can kind of understand where I'm getting with this, but it's not about completely merging into one another, where we all become these, asexual kind of no unique individuality, drones walking around, that's not what Earth was built to be, and humankind was not built that way either. God designed us in a very specific way to have an experience. And the original intention was that we would be able to go out and do this together and create this amazing, unique reality inside of our common gifts, but inside of individual containers with free will, and having this amazing experience that's constantly expanding and constantly growing and constantly changing. And this is where abundance springs from. It's where creative thought comes from. It's what has literally built our reality. Cities were built on it. Every invention that we use inside of our homes came from this. And so it's like we're moving into this place where we learn how to have our creative thought and have our individual truths and beliefs without weaponizing them, to take out another group that doesn't see things exactly the way that we do. And this is why war exists, right? So I'm not saying that tomorrow we're going to solve the problems of the world through this, but this is the journey that humanity has started inside of the Age of Aquarius. It's the Age of Aquarius. Aquarius is air. It's related to the mind, to the head. And it is very much a balance of science and spirit coming together. That is what the Aquarian energy is, where we start to learn that there is no separation between science and spirit, that they rely very heavily on one another, the connection to each other to exist and to grow and expand. And so inside of that, it's us diving into our beliefs, questioning our truths. Where were they built from? Why do we have this belief? What kind of evidence was gathered? Just like this card says, thought is creative according to nature, impulse, emotion, or conviction. So some of those are nature, right? And some of those are nurture. I talked about that in one of my other videos. And so the other one that I picked from the Akashic Tarot deck is the Four of Forces, spring and autumn. And so 4 is our foundational number, right? It is the root chakra. It is the cube or the square. It is our cardinal directions. It is our 4 elements. It is the building blocks of our existence, is very much inside of the number 4. The number 4 is also associated with the Emperor card in Tarot, which is the leadership card. Well-founded leadership that takes its kingdom to its optimal growth. The 4 is the planet Mars. which is the warrior spirit, the creative drive, passion, sex. It's also about health and medical mindedness, right? So, a lot of my medical intuition, the reason why I kind of landed there with my gifts was because I love the partnership between science and spirit, and how our minds are built to actually see both sides. Our brain is designed that way. And the way, the different centers of the brain that stimulate different kinds of thought and processing and behaviors. And so we've got the right brain that's all about creative thought, expression, relationships, our connection to spirit. And then we have the left side of the brain that is about processing and analyzing and structure and routine. And, all of that stuff working together allows us to be very analytical and very metaphysical at the same time. And so this shows spring and fall, two of the biggest equinoxes of the year. It brings complete contrast, and they actually happen at different times on the planet as well. So the earth itself is balancing itself at every given moment through the contrast of opposites. And so this is the perfect card to support this thought that Spirit was trying to bring through today, which is inside of our own lives, we can start this growth. It's going to take a while for us to disassemble old programming, right? To get rid of the corrupt hardwiring, the corrupt code that has been hardwired into our software system, right? And either we deal with, we could go on and on with that analogy, couldn't we? Maybe I'll do another little video on that. But, if you look at when you've purchased a computer, the software system that's the hard drive that's in there, that the programs are built around, the functionality of your computer is built around, that's been designed with firewalls and encrypted security and, coding that can't be messed with. Unless you really know how to get in there and do that. But the reason being is so you can't corrupt the original thought forms, right? The original system inside of your computer. So it keeps chugging along. Well, our nervous system, our subconscious, our conscious, our brain, it's all designed in a very similar way. And so we have to explore our own firewalls. We've got to explore our own encrypted security systems, that code is so locked in that it takes an expert with creative thinking processes for problem solving and figuring out detours and how to get around these things in order to plant a new idea or a new possibility that could change the entire structure of the software system, right? So, this is what we're looking at globally. All of us together create this consciousness, this collective intelligence that is like its own hard drive. All of us are part of it. We're all one of the little wires inside of that circuitry. And so we're talking about a system that really needs to kind of be turned on its head. And it's already started. The process has already started, but it is inherent in each of us to have this sovereignty, and that is one of our gifts inside of being human, and to start exploring that and supporting it. And through that, it becomes a process of seeing that in others too. It's like, this is what drives me. It's what makes me passionate. Me being me, I want to be authentic. I want to go out. Well, why do you think another person would be different than that? Just because they're doing it in a different way doesn't mean that the goal is different, And so this is where unity consciousness comes in. It's about being able to be individuals and have sovereignty, but to have total balance and respect that somebody else is doing the same thing. They're just doing it with inside their creative thought process, which is their right. And so when we actually can be in harmony with one another in that way, and we are giving and taking with each other in a more of a collective sharing, right? Then where there's no need for us to defend ourselves, because we know that everyone else is defending my right as well. And so we can put our weapons down and we can take our armor off because we're safe inside of our sovereignty, because other people see that and respect that. And so that's unity consciousness. That's oneness. That's where we're headed. That's what the 5D is. It's not about merging into each other where we lose ourselves and lose our identities and our individuality. That's not what this is about. That was the message that Spirit wanted to bring through today to kick off our week. We are very close to the spring solstice. It's just, 2 weeks away. And so this is a wonderful time to plant these seeds and to start to grow something new and to potentially start stimulating new kinds of creative thought. So I'm wishing all of you a wonderful week. I'll be back again here and there to continue the foundational conversation of the body-mind connection. But I just wanted to share the thoughts that were coming through from Spirit today, and then send you all lots of love and a wish for a wonderful week.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to Soul Speak. I'm Jenny Israel, medical intuitive, energy healer, spiritual activator, counselor, and teacher. You can learn more by following me on Facebook or Instagram at Jenny Israel CPC. That's Jenny Israel, and then the letter CPC. If you would like to receive more messages from Spirit directly to your mailbox, visit jennyisrael.com, scroll down to the bottom, and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also contact me through my website or social media to set up a one-on-one session or to check out my upcoming spiritual development classes. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please help support my show by giving it a 5-star review in Apple Podcasts. Spirit and I will speak to you again soon. Blessings and light to all.